Okay, welcome back to One Piece Anime Review, episode number 367. We're reviewing episode 1120, known as The World Shaken. The World is Shaken, the Ruler's Judgment, and the Five Elders' Action. So, in this episode, we start with Sabo, where he's wounded from the previous episode, where he's running away from the big palace's guards. And then first he's spooked, like some bushes it's just a rabbit, and the guard finds it, and of course it's blood. And then we see him later on where he's taking up wearing the armor, which he did also in the Reverie arc. Escorts a king and his wife, not wife, his daughter, of the Lusitania Kingdom down to their ship, which of course they seem pretty happy with them him escorting. Apparently, just volunteered to escort him down. They get down there, then the Navy takes over, and he hides in their ship on his way to Lusitania. Meanwhile, though, well, Warpole and Vivi have come to the docks, where she's gotten out of his mouth, and then proceeds to hide on the Elter's ship because they can't exactly have to keep hiding because the Navy's trying to find him because to get on board. And then, of course, he takes out a transponder and get into a cargo hold. He takes that transponder snail and contacts Morgans, the publisher of the World Economic Journal, who he calls Morg-chan, implying the fact these two are old friends. So he's like, hey, I'll give you a store in exchange for hiding me. And Morgan's like, sure, no problem. And of course, basically, you reveal what ship they're on and go find them, no problem. Meanwhile, though, in the case of the Five Elders, which by the way, we reveal all their names here in this episode, yes, this actually is the first episode to reveal their real names. And you're like, huh, that's interesting. The fact they reveal their real names in this very episode. Yes, this is something that the manga did a while ago. So, they reveal who these people are. So we have J. Garcia Saint Georgius Saturn, Marcos Mars, Topman Warkery, Elpenron V. Nadro, and Stefan G. Peter. Yep, that's who these people are. And it took a long freaking time to identify these people. It's just that they're the Five Elders, and they fuse together names. Now, Saint Joseph Saturn is the warrior god of science and defense. Well, until the most recent chapter. And keeping this guy made his debut in the manga with chapter 233, which came out in 2002. Yep, 2002. So technically, he made his debut in the manga 22 years ago, and it took them 20 years with this guy's real name. Now, Saturn is the guy with the hat, a shorter guy with a beard and carries on a cane. There is a tall one. His name is Marcos Mars. He kind of dresses like a businessman with long white hair, thick beard. He is the warrior god of environment. As for the other ones, Topman Warcry is this chubby guy with this very thick mustache. He is the warrior god of justice. And as for the other two, Etherbon V. Najarjo, he is the god of finance, and he's dressed like a samurai because he wears a komodo. And of course, he's the only one who really carries a sword with him. Everyone else carries guns. And the other one is Shepherd Jew Peter. He's a tall guy, scar across his neck. He is the warrior god of agriculture. Yep, so they pretty much make some decisions here, like, okay, so they don't exactly tell the public about, they tell the public a little bit later about Cobra's death and blame on Sab, but this fact they're the ones who, technically, Emu did it. And of course, basically, Emu contacts him and says, I would like to use the device we have. And they're like, where? Like, Tessa Samiri, Lusitania. And I think Peter is asking this, why there? It's close by. So then of course, we cut to the kingdom, where as soon as Sabo gets there, like, the people imprison the king and princess, proclaim him a hero, and of course, people want to revolution. They get on a ship. They sail away. That's when they contact. Well, that's when they contacted Dragon before. And the way it describes it here is like a big shadow over the country, all these beams of light destroying the whole island. Excuse me. And of course, we actually have various times where a Ronkov was getting out of his chair or sitting down. So, and then they get back there and see everybody there. Apparently, Biobelly, basically, she's what inspired these people, including the Milk Girl. So then, of course, Gronkov comes to a theory that possibly the Emu he saw might be one of the 20 who remained, and presumably got the power of immortality. The theory is that possibly that this person, we don't know if it's a guy or a woman, where, oh, by the way, the last thing he says before the episode, before he last seen, he says, I want Vivi. And the other's like, okay, we'll do that. So, it's presumed this might be this particular one, but they don't know, it's just a theory. I do appreciate Ronkov, basically, he actually does know, but I'm not surprised he does know about the 12 founders. And we hear the Emu is like, oh, maybe it's this Emu. It's possible this is one. Now, why he's obsessed with Vivi, I'm not sure, despite the fact that she looks exactly like Queen Lily, the one who's part of the actual House of Nefertiti, and the fact that her brother succeeded her as the next ruler of the country for reasons. She presumably went home, but she never actually went home. As what happened to her, it's a complete mystery. So, with this, of course, you think, oh, is next episode, when they air it, is it going to go back to, like, oh, if you're a little curious, I should point out next week's episode will be a recap episode. Yes, it's a recap episode, but we're not going back to Egghead next week. Oh, actually 2 weeks from now. No, from what I can tell, the next episode that's going to air is going back to the island. You know, the place that where Blackbeard is? Yeah. Oh, by the way, the episode ends with a very shocking note. So, the episode has debut a brand new anime debut new character who has been appearing like once or twice in the manga, but never actually like full appearances of this guy. So, this episode has debut of a very tall man named Fingerling Garland. And he's the champion of God Valley. And he mentions in this episode that this was something we not been mentioned to the public, where one of the Celestial Dragons has been executed for daring to protect a fishman, namely a mermaid. And like, oh, how dare you protect lower scum? And actually, they must be helping with missing food. And that's not the last image we see the whole episode is him being executed for daring to help them out. Yet, and by the way, his is Don Quixote. Which, yes, This means that he is in fact a distant relative of Doflamingo. He's part of the family. He's the only one who actually, well, is actually a person. Everyone else basically all complete, a lot of them are complete jerks. My guess is that he's the one to go from his, probably a relative of his. Yeah, but I had to bring it up because, well, he's the second person part of the family to die. Last one who died was basically Doflamingo's father, and his, well, first was his father, and then his brother, and now him. Yeah, he was also crucified. Yes. Yeah, I'm not gonna mention how he was crucified because it's a bit offensive. It's Japan. They like doing this, but they do it in like a they would do it a different side of cross than the other series I've seen. But move on from that. So now moving on to talk about the new chapter in manga, chapter 1127, Adventure in the Land of Mystery. The cover image is Ogre Chow Yamato's Golden Harvest, Sogret Pilgrimage, Volume 15, The Kidnapping Between Heavy and Dogstorm, Daimyo of Kuri. Yes, Dogstorm's made a Daimyo because some Daimyos are dead, so name one of the retainers a Daimyo. Yep. So, basically, chapter starts out with some fire. Looks like an ale bath. Like some people beaten up by these bees. Then we cut to this place called Big Stein Castle. Like, what's those horrible bees? And of course, Zeus is there, and of course, well, of course, she's like, ah, somebody gonna help me? Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, I use that for Usopp. Am I crazy? I'm ever changing. Where am I? Is this a dream? Hey, Nami. Yep, it's Usopp. It's bumpy. Yeah, because she's not a Lego. And then we have this giant bear thing where she basically gets spooked at it. And she runs away. He's like, Usopp, where are you? And then he's about to be cowered by a giant cat. So they take care of the cat. Frees Usopp, who's got a beard now for reasons. So apparently they drink alcohol made him hallucinate, so they're there. And they're not the only ones who's there. Of course, you have these cats here. And of course, knocked part of the castle, which is made of Legos. And of course, Usopp falls, and then they're confronted by a lion. Yes, a lion with a crown on his head. And then they're saved by Sanji and Zoro, who take up the cat. And then we see Luffy's got a crown, basically a helmet on his head. And they say that roast rabbit earlier was tasty enough already. Roast rabbit. I wonder if that's a nod to Roger Rabbit. Could be Viz Media being jokes, people. Who knows? Like, and of course, basically, you have Zoro wearing a pair of goggles, those weird outfits. And the chapter ends with basically Sanji with Nami, Usopp's collapse. So, speaking of food, what about the high? And apparently, like, it looked like on top of near like a tree Yggdrasil. It could be they're in Elbap, but they're not really clear yet. But we're only like in the third chapter of this arc. And of course, we'll find out basically. Yeah, we'll find out about next week what's going on here. Like, why are they in the cast of Legos? Because it looks like Legos to me, even though they don't say it's Legos, but it looks like Legos. May have the branding on those little circles, but yeah, it's freaking Legos they're walking on. Big ones. Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much it, particular view. Me. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, tune in the like button. So, stay tuned for tomorrow. My reviews for Fairy 20's Quest and My Hero Academia. and maybe Comic Corner 2. Okay, next video. Bye.